The United States is home to a surprising number of animals that are capable of injuring or even killing humans. From the swamps of Florida to the mountains of Alaska, danger comes in many different forms, and some of the deadliest creatures in the country are not the ones that most people would expect. In today's video we will be ranking 17 of the most dangerous animals found in the United States, starting with the most shocking and working our way through to the ones that most people overlook entirely.
Number 17, Western Diamondback Rattlesnake. We start with the most dangerous animal in the entire country, and the answer might surprise you. The Western Diamondback rattlesnake is responsible for more snake bite fatalities in the United States than any other species, and it has been that way for as long as records have been kept. These large heavy-bodied pit vipers are found across the southwestern states from Texas to California, and they are perfectly adapted to the arid environments in which they live. They can reach lengths of over 1.5 meters, and their venom is a potent hemotoxin that destroys tissue and blood cells. Without treatment, a bite from a Western Diamondback can cause severe necrosis, internal bleeding, and death. What makes this snake more dangerous than the grizzly bear or the great white shark is not just the potency of its venom, but how frequently it encounters humans. The Western Diamondback is abundant across its range and is commonly found in areas where people live, work, and recreate. Unlike some other rattlesnakes that are relatively docile, the Western Diamondback has a well-earned reputation for being defensive and quick to strike. They will usually give a warning with their rattle, but not always, and their striking range is deceptively long. Across the U.S. there are around 7,000 to 8,000 venomous snake bites reported each year, and the Western Diamondback and its close relative the Eastern Diamondback are responsible for the majority of the fatalities. Even with excellent medical care and anti-venom availability, around 5 to 7 people still die from snake bites each year, and many more are left with permanent tissue damage and disability. The Western Diamondback might not be as dramatic or headline-grabbing as a shark attack or a bear mauling, but year after year it quietly claims more American lives than any other wild animal in the country. Number 16, Grizzly Bear. At number 16, we have the most feared land predator in North America, and for very good reason. The grizzly bear can weigh over 360 kilograms and stand nearly 3 meters tall on its hind legs, possessing enormous strength that allows it to flip boulders, tear apart logs, and easily overpower any animal in its ecosystem. Grizzly bears are most commonly found in Alaska, but significant populations also exist in Montana, Wyoming, Idaho, and Washington. They are responsible for an average of around 2 to 3 fatal attacks per year in the U.S., and while this number might seem low, the severity of grizzly attacks sets them apart from almost every other animal on this list. Unlike black bears, which can often be scared away by making noise or fighting back, a grizzly that has decided to attack is almost impossible to stop without a firearm. Most fatal attacks involve hikers who surprise a bear at close range, particularly mothers with cubs. Yellowstone and Glacier National Park have been the sites of some of the most well-known incidents, and both parks have extensive protocols in place to minimize encounters, including bear spray requirements and food storage regulations. Despite these measures, attacks continue to happen, and the expanding range of grizzly bears into areas where they have not been seen in decades means that encounters with humans are likely to increase in the years ahead. Number 15, Great White Shark. At number 15, we have the shark that needs very little introduction. The great white is the species that most people picture when they think of shark attacks, and its reputation is entirely deserved. They are found along both the Atlantic and Pacific coasts of the U.S., with Cape Cod and Central California being two of the most well-known hotspots. Great whites are capable of reaching lengths of around 6 meters and weights of over 2 metric tons, and they are responsible for more fatal attacks on humans than any other shark species in U.S. waters. Despite this, attacks are still incredibly rare, with only a handful of fatalities occurring each year. Surfers are the most common victims, as they spend extended periods in the water in areas where great whites are actively hunting for seals. In recent years, attacks appear to have increased in some areas, and this is likely because of the successful recovery of seal populations along the Atlantic coast, which has drawn more sharks closer to shore. Despite their fearsome reputation, great whites are not mindless man-eaters, and most attacks on humans are cases of mistaken identity. But when an animal with that much power in those teeth makes a mistake, the consequences can be catastrophic and frequently fatal. Number 14, American Alligator. At number 14, we have one of the most formidable predators in the country. The American alligator boasts a population of around 5 million across the southeastern United States, and is found in every coastal state from Texas to North Carolina, with Florida and Louisiana having the highest concentrations by far. These reptiles can reach lengths of around 4.5 meters and weights of over 450 kilograms, and at this size they are capable of taking down large mammals including deer, feral hogs, and unfortunately humans. Since the year 2000, there have been 32 documented fatal attacks in the US, and the number of non-fatal attacks is significantly higher. One of the most shocking incidents occurred on the grounds of a famous Florida theme park in 2016 when a young child was snatched from the edge of a lagoon in an attack that horrified the entire country. Alligators are opportunistic ambush predators, and they are most dangerous at the water's edge, where they can launch explosive attacks from a seemingly motionless position. They are increasingly found in urban areas, turning up in swimming pools, on golf courses, and even inside people's homes during the breeding season. Despite the fact that fatal attacks are relatively rare given how many alligators and people share the same space, they are still responsible for more deaths than any other reptile in the country. Number 13, Bull Shark. At number 13, we have the shark that many experts consider the most dangerous species in the world, and this is mostly because of where it chooses to live. Unlike most other sharks, bull sharks can thrive in both salt and freshwater, and they are commonly found in the shallow coastal waters, bays, and river systems of the eastern and Gulf Coast states. They are responsible for a significant number of the shark attacks that occur in the U.S. each year, and many attacks that are attributed to other species were likely carried out by bull sharks, as they are notoriously difficult to identify after the fact. They are naturally aggressive and territorial, and they tend to hunt in the murky shallow waters where people swim and surf. Some of the shark attacks that inspired the novel and film Jaws are believed to have been carried out by a bull shark that traveled upriver into fresh water, bringing the danger to places where people never expected to encounter a predator of this size. In Florida alone, bull sharks are among the most commonly encountered shark species in shallow water, and the state consistently leads the entire country in shark attacks year after year. Number 12, American black bear. At number 12, we have the most common bear species in the U.S., with an estimated population of around 300,000 spread across at least 40 states. In the bear world, black bears are not exactly known for being the most aggressive species towards humans, and the vast majority of encounters end without incident. But because their population is so large and because they are increasingly found in suburban and semi-urban areas, the number of encounters is rising every year. Since 2020, there have been around 11 fatal black bear attacks across North America, and most of these occurred in areas where bears had become habituated to human food. When a black bear loses its fear of humans, it becomes a very different and genuinely dangerous animal. Some individuals have been known to view humans as a food source rather than a threat, and these food-conditioned bears are responsible for the most severe and unpredictable attacks. Attacks usually occur when bears are food-conditioned, defending their cubs, or surprised at close range. Their sheer numbers and increasing proximity to human populations make them one of the most statistically significant predator threats in the country. Number 11, Mountain Lion. At number 11, we have the largest wildcat in North America, known by many names including cougar, puma, and panther. Mountain lions are found across the western states and have been making a slow but steady comeback in some parts of the Midwest. These solitary predators are incredibly stealthy and are known for ambushing their prey from behind, which means that if a mountain lion decides to target you, you probably will not see it coming. There are an average of around 6 attacks per year in the US, with roughly one of those proving fatal. The majority of attacks occur in California and Colorado, often involving joggers or cyclists who trigger the cat's predatory instinct by moving quickly through terrain the animal considers its territory. Despite the fact that fatal attacks are rare, a mountain lion is more than capable of killing an adult human, and their speed, strength, and stealth make them a genuine threat in areas where their range overlaps with hiking trails and suburban developments that continue to push deeper into wild habitat every year. Number 10, Feral Hogs. At number 10, we have one of the most destructive and dangerous invasive species in the country. Feral hogs have exploded in population in recent decades, and there are now an estimated 9 million of them across the U.S., found in at least 35 states, with Texas being the most heavily affected. These animals are a cross between domesticated pigs and wild boar, and they have become incredibly difficult to control due to their high reproductive rate and their aggression. They are known for destroying crops, contaminating water sources, and competing with native species, but they are also genuinely dangerous to humans. Feral hogs can weigh over 130 kilograms and they have razor-sharp tusks that can cause devastating injuries.
There have been several documented fatal attacks on humans in the US, including a tragic case in Texas in 2019 where a woman was killed by a group of feral hogs outside her own home. Attacks usually occur when the animals are cornered, surprised, or when a sow is protecting her young, but the sheer density of their population means that encounters are becoming increasingly difficult to avoid in affected areas. Number 9. American Bison. At number 9, we have one of the most iconic symbols of the American West. Thanks to conservation efforts, the bison population has bounced back from near extinction, and today there are around 500,000 of them across the country, with the most famous herds found in Yellowstone National Park. Despite their calm appearance, bison are incredibly fast and unpredictable, capable of reaching speeds of up to 55 kilometers per hour, which is significantly faster than any human can run. They are responsible for more injuries in Yellowstone than any other animal including bears, and this is almost entirely because tourists get too close for photographs. Every year multiple visitors are gored, tossed, or trampled after approaching bison that appeared to be relaxed and calm. The injuries can be catastrophic as a fully grown bison can weigh over 900 kilograms and their horns can cause deep puncture wounds. The general rule in Yellowstone is to stay at least 25 meters away from bison, but every year someone decides that rule does not apply to them, and every year someone pays the price. Number 8. Moose. At number 8, we have the largest member of the deer family. In North America, moose are found across Alaska, Canada, and parts of the northern United States including Maine, Montana, and Minnesota. A fully grown bull moose can stand over 2 meters tall at the shoulder and weigh up to 700 kilograms, and despite their somewhat goofy appearance they are incredibly dangerous animals. Moose are responsible for more injuries in Alaska than bears are, and this is partly because people consistently underestimate them and get too close. During the autumn rut, bull moose become extremely aggressive due to elevated testosterone levels and will charge anything they perceive as a threat including cars, people, and even trains. Cow moose are equally dangerous when they have calves and will not hesitate to stomp on anything that gets between them and their young. A moose kick can easily kill a person as their hooves are sharp and they can strike with tremendous force. Vehicle collisions with moose are also a serious and frequently fatal problem across the northern states, as their long legs mean the body of the animal often comes through the windshield, making collisions far more deadly than hitting a. Number 7. Timber rattlesnake. At number 7, we have a snake that was once found across most of the eastern half of the country, but habitat loss and decades of persecution have significantly reduced its range. Despite this, the timber rattlesnake is still one of the most dangerous snakes in the US, and its venom is a potent cocktail of hemotoxins and neurotoxins that can cause severe tissue damage, internal bleeding, and death if left untreated. They are ambush predators that prefer to lie motionless and wait for their prey, which means that hikers sometimes step on them without any warning whatsoever. Thankfully, timber rattlesnakes are generally considered to be one of the more docile rattlesnake species, and they will often give several warnings with their rattle before striking. But if you do not heed those warnings, or if you accidentally step on one in dense undergrowth, then you are in for a very serious and potentially life-threatening situation. Their combination of powerful venom, excellent camouflage, and ambush hunting strategy makes them one of the most genuinely dangerous snakes anywhere in the eastern United States. Number 6. Cottonmouth. At number 6, we have the only venomous water snake in North America. The cottonmouth, also known as the water moccasin, is found throughout the swamps, marshes, and waterways of the southeastern United States. They get their name from the white interior of their mouths, which they display as a warning when they feel threatened. This threat display is actually useful because it gives you a chance to back away before the snake decides to strike. Their venom is a potent hemotoxin that destroys red blood cells and tissue, and an untreated bite can result in severe pain, swelling, and in rare cases death. There are many myths surrounding cottonmouths, including the popular belief that they will actively chase you. In reality, they are more likely to hold their ground than most other snakes, which can make it look like they are advancing when they are actually just refusing to flee. Despite this, they are responsible for very few fatalities each year as bites are almost always survivable with prompt medical treatment. Number 5. Burmese python. At number 5, we have one of America's most talked about invasive species. The Burmese python is not native to the United States, but since its introduction into the Everglades it has become one of the most ecologically devastating and potentially dangerous invasive species in the country. These giant constrictors were first imported as pets in the 1970s, and once irresponsible owners started releasing them into the wild, they quickly established themselves in the warm, swampy environment of southern Florida. Hurricane Andrew made the situation significantly worse when it destroyed several breeding facilities in 1992, releasing even more snakes into the ecosystem. Today there are an estimated 100,000 to 300,000 Burmese pythons in Florida, and they have had a devastating effect on native wildlife. Raccoon populations in the Everglades have declined by 99% since the pythons took over, and many other small mammal species have been similarly decimated. Burmese pythons have never killed a person in Florida, but the largest specimens can reach lengths of over 5 meters and weigh more than 90 kilograms, making them more than capable of killing an adult human. There have been tragic cases involving pet Burmese pythons killing their owners in the U.S., including several incidents involving children. In the Everglades, the sheer density of the population means that encounters with hikers and fishermen are becoming more frequent, and it is only a matter of time before someone is seriously injured by a wild specimen. Number 4, Copperhead. At number 4, we have the snake that bites more Americans than any other. The copperhead is responsible for the majority of venomous snake bites in the United States each year, and this is mostly because of its excellent camouflage and its habit of living in extremely close proximity to humans. They are found across much of the eastern and central U.S., and their copper-colored pattern allows them to blend in perfectly with leaf litter on forest floors, garden beds, and hiking trails. This means that people frequently step on them without even realizing they are there. Thankfully, the copperhead has a relatively mild venom compared to other venomous snakes in the country, and fatalities are extremely rare. Most bites result in pain, swelling, and bruising that resolves within a few weeks, and many experts consider copperhead bites to be the least dangerous of all the pit viper bites in the U.S. Despite this, the sheer number of bites they inflict each year, estimated at around 2,900, earns them a significant place on this list and makes them statistically one of the most frequently encountered venomous animals in the entire country. Number 3, Black Widow. At number 3, we have arguably the most famous venomous spider in the United States. Most people can identify a black widow by the distinctive red hourglass marking on its abdomen, and that recognition is well earned. They are found across most of the country and tend to live in dark sheltered areas such as wood piles, garages, and outbuildings. Their venom is significantly more potent than the brown recluse on a drop-for-drop basis, and it contains a neurotoxin that can cause severe muscle cramps, abdominal pain, and in rare cases death. Black widow bites are more commonly reported than brown recluse bites, with around 2,500 cases reaching poison control centers each year. Thankfully, fatalities are extremely rare in the modern era because of the availability of antivenom and medical care, with only a handful of deaths being reported over the past few decades. Despite their fearsome name and reputation, black widows are not aggressive spiders and will usually try to flee or play dead before resorting to biting. Number 2, Brown Recluse Spider. At number 2, we have one of the most medically significant spiders in the United States. The brown recluse gets its name from its tendency to hide in dark, undisturbed places, and it is most commonly found across the central and southern states. They have a habit of setting up home in storage boxes, old shoes, and behind furniture, which is how most bites occur. Their venom contains a toxin that can cause necrosis, meaning the tissue around the bite can die and create an open wound that takes weeks or even months to heal. In some severe cases, the necrotic lesions can be truly horrific, and a small number of bites, particularly in children and the elderly, have proven fatal. Despite this, the vast majority of brown recluse bites heal on their own without any serious complications, and the spider itself is actually quite shy. They very rarely bite unless they are accidentally pressed against the skin, which is why most bites happen when people put on clothing or shoes that a spider has crawled into overnight. There are an estimated 2,500 brown recluse bites reported each year in the U.S., but confirmed fatalities are extremely rare, with fewer than 10 deaths being attributed to them in the past several decades. Number 2, Brown Recluse Spider. At number 2, we have one of the most medically significant spiders in the United States. The brown recluse gets its name from its tendency to hide in dark, undisturbed places, and it is most commonly found across the central and southern states. They have a habit of setting up home in storage boxes, old shoes, and behind furniture, which is how most bites occur. Their venom contains a toxin that can cause necrosis, meaning the tissue around the bite can die and create an open wound that takes weeks or even months to heal. In some severe cases, the necrotic lesions can be truly horrific, and a small number of bites,
particularly in children and the elderly, have proven fatal. Despite this, the vast majority of brown recluse bites heal on their own without any serious complications, and the spider itself is actually quite shy. They very rarely bite unless they are accidentally pressed against the skin, which is why most bites happen when people put on clothing or shoes that a spider has crawled into overnight. There are an estimated 2,500 brown recluse bites reported each year in the US, but confirmed fatalities are extremely rare, with fewer than 10 deaths being attributed to them in the past several decades.
And that wraps up our ranking of 17 of the most dangerous animals found in the United States. From a rattlesnake that quietly claims more lives than any shark or bear, to a lizard that most people would walk right past without a second thought. The most dangerous animals in this country are not always the biggest or the most obvious, and that is precisely what makes them so worth knowing about. If you think there is an animal that deserved a spot on this list that we missed, drop it in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.